Necromancy is supposed to be dramatic, right? Raise the dead, command skeletal armies, cackle under a thunderstorm. The Necromancer's tale doesn't give you that power, at least not right away. Instead, it makes you crawl through hours of suspicion, political intrigue, and family tragedy before you finally touch the forbidden arts. Some players call it genius, others call it torture. Both are kind of right. Here's the setup: 18th century Europe, but twisted. Enlightenment ideals clash with shadows of black magic. You return home for your father's funeral, convinced something's off. The official cause of death: a drunken stumble caused by an herbalist who couldn't diagnose a stubbed toe. Meanwhile, your once rich family is suddenly broke, and your mother slipping into dementia. The stage is set not for a power fantasy, but for a long, deliberate descent. And I mean long. This is the definition of slow burn. Character creation isn't sliders and stats. It's a text-heavy prologue, interactive, choose your own adventure memories that define your upbringing, beliefs, and reputation. Dialogue branches don't just set flavor, they determine who trusts you, who shuts doors in your face, and who might stab you later. There are nearly 200 NPCs, each keeping receipts. Say the wrong thing to the wrong faction and entire quest lines evaporate. That's bold design, but also ruthless. The trust system is the star here. Every conversation is a gamble. Do you seduce, intimidate, or charm? Every action ripples through the community. It's less Mass Effect blue versus red and more oops. The Merchants Guild thinks I'm shady now and half the town won't deal with me. You're constantly balancing honesty, ambition, and secrecy, because necromancy isn't just taboo, it's technically a war crime buried in history. Whisper the wrong word in public and you're done. When you finally earn necromantic power 10 plus hours in, it's like the game cracks open. Suddenly, those rusty swords and armor pieces in your inventory make sense. You can resurrect soldiers, nobles, or random townsfolk, and they keep their identity in death. A Venetian soldier doesn't just become zombie number 5. He's a Venetian zombie soldier, complete with his skills. There's no official cap on how many corpses you can command, but the real limiter is your magic pool. Each minion requires MP to obey, forcing you to strategize instead of steamroll. Combat is classic turn-based grid battles with a twist. Enemies often target you, not your undead army, because if the Necromancer falls, the horde collapses. It's tense and surprisingly smart. One moment you're commanding a shambling squad, the next you're ducking into alleys, trying not to parade your horrors through town like a demented circus. Step into the wrong NPC's vision cone with a skeleton in tow. Straight to the gallows. It's grim, but occasionally hilarious. But let's not sugarcoat the issues. The pacing is brutal. Many reviewers admitted they nearly dropped the game before necromancy even appeared. The camera system is clunky, walls block your view, forcing constant rotations. Pathfinding glitches make your character wander off like they're drunk. Indoor navigation can be a nightmare. And while some of the hand-drawn portraits are beautiful, the 3D world often feels dated, with muddy textures clashing against the gothic tone. Still, there's something compelling here. The story is sharp, dripping with paranoia, grief, and moral ambiguity. The slow roll into necromancy makes your eventual fall feel earned, not gratuitous. The writing sells the descent. You're not some mustache-twirling villain. You're a grieving child pushed into shadows by circumstance and choice. And once you've got your undead army, it's intoxicating, dangerous, and a little funny in ways the game may or may not intend. Playtime clocks in at 25-50 hours depending on how many side plots and factions you tangle with. That's a big ask for a game that hides its hook for so long. But for patient players who like narrative depth, political webs, and morally grey decisions, the Necromancer's tale scratches an itch most RPGs don't even try to reach. Here's where I land: it's a flawed gem. Too slow for mainstream tastes, too buggy for perfectionists, but unique enough that I can't stop thinking about it. If you stuck with Disco Elysium, if you thrive on Baldur's Gate politics, but wished you could raise a zombie girlfriend, this is your jam. If you want instant gratification, it'll put you to sleep before you ever touch a corpse. At Veteran Game, we'll always call it straight. The Necromancer's tale isn't for everyone, but for the right kind of player, it's unforgettable. If you dig this kind of no BS breakdown where we praise the guts but roast the flaws, hit that subscribe. Toss a like if you've ever tried to sneak a skeleton army through town like it was casual cosplay. Final question for you. Is a painfully slow start worth it if the payoff is commanding an army of the dead? Or do you bail before the bodies rise? Let's hear it in the comments.